Hello Moses, Joey and Sam. Today, this time I want to talk about my early age. As I told you, in 1960s, South Korea was poor and my family was poor. Even though my father was a policeman, he did not live with us. And when I was in fourth or fifth grade, I think that it was fourth grade. Or I don't know, the third grade. I am not sure. I don't remember. I cannot remember. One boy came to my house and said, they said that he is your brother. So I could not remember exactly the situation. And my younger brother, I lived together with my younger brother, but he was older than my younger brother, and 2 years, the 1 year, 2 years younger than me, and said that it is your brother. And I knew that he was my half brother, and I knew that why didn't my father live together with me and my family? So he came to my house. In my house, it was very small house, and only one room with one kitchen. If you go Cambodia or a very remote area in China, these days you can find such, or in Vietnam, you can find such house, very small. And if an adult stands up, your head is on the roof, on the ceiling. So no electricity there. In I don't remember the year, but when I was fourth grade, there was electricity line construction, and I could use electricity from the end of my fourth grade year. So when there is a good thing, you have to be careful. You don't exaggerate yourself when there is good thing. Because after I could use electricity, what happened the next year? There was a fire in this small house because of this electricity. My mother used the electric kind of blanket, or it's a sheet, to make the floor warm, but it was made by coils directly. There was the wood, and then to go the coil, with the coil they made this kind of electric blanket or electric sheet. And one night in cold winter, there was a fire because it was not turned off. And through this fire, my younger brother got the hurt, and he had scars in his face and in his shoulders. And I do not know, I really can't remember that day what happened, but I was outside of the house when I recognize or when I came to have consciousness. Only my younger brother got hurt. Anyway, so I know, Joy, you entered the Ohio State University, and it's good university. And I'm proud of you, but do not forget about the things that if you are recognized by others, you need to be very careful. Because if you neglect somebody because of the achievement, then there might something bad happen. So keep humble. You are very responsible, and I know you are very humble. But keep humble. Humbleness is the best resources you have in your life. Humbleness is much precious than money. So there was a fire, and it happened in 1970s, and you live year 2010, we are 2010, 2018 now. There were many changes. And when you live in a rich area in the United States, in Ohio, it is very easy for you to think that, oh, we are poor. But the poverty is a very relative thing. You thought you were poor because you couldn't do whatever you want to do. Your friends in summertime traveled to Europe or to South America, to the foreign countries, but you couldn't. And thought that, oh, we are poor. Yeah, that's right, you are poor. But you need to remember that there are so many people much more poorer than you, than us. South Korea is not poor, I think, these days in year 2018. And there are so many countries who the poorer than South Korea. So it is very relative thing. I ask you, it is very hard to be free from those thoughts, the comparative thoughts. If you compare something with others, if you compare yourself with others, it is really, really bad thing. You were not born to compare with other people. You were born with compare with your yesterday being. So if you compare yourself with your past, then you will find good things in comparison. But if you compare yourself with others, then I don't think it is wise. You will feel bad things if sometimes if you can be arrogant, or sometimes you can be very destructive. Destructive. So I ask you, do not compare yourself with others. Do not compare South Korea with other countries. Do not compare anything with others. Compare yourself with your past, yesterday, compare your countries with your country's past. So it will help you. It will make you better. So when I compare myself with my past, I find many things. I find many differences. And I'm satisfied with those changes. And I think that I'm deserved to live here on earth. When I was young, I thought like babies or children. When I grow up, I think differently. When I was in elementary school, I didn't even know outside Korea. I first met foreigners when I was in college years. I think in second grade, sophomore in college. She was an English instructor in English education department, or English language and literature department. So I was not allowed to take that course, but I just visited there and sit down in the class and heard that the lady talks in English. I couldn't understand at all. But anyway, because of curiosity, I visited there. And so I just heard, I remember that she was the wife of one diplomat, Indian diplomat. She was not Westerner, but she was Asian, Indian, from India. And in third grade, I met one person in Iksan city. So I visited Iksan, and from Iksan to Seoul, I took an express bus, and the person next to me was from Denmark. And I could barely understand that he worked related with chicken things. And so after many years, I thought that when I know about Harim is a chicken company, and the headquarters is located in Iksan, and I thought that perhaps he was related with this company, Harim, to consult how to raise chickens and treat them, kind of things. Anyway, I met the Westerners first in this verse when I was in 3rd grade, the junior year in college. And there was amazing thing happened in 1988 when I was 4th grade, senior year in college. 1988, there was a Seoul Olympic Games in Seoul. So many foreigners came to Seoul. I also met several interesting foreigners at that time, and that was the turning point of my life. I met foreigners. One of them was a black guy from Africa, and barely I understood that he was from Burkina Faso in Africa. I had never heard of such country, and I tried to find it, and I understood that it was a small country in Africa, and people say that, oh, from Burkina Faso, perhaps he was a chief in his village or a very rich person. And another man came from UK. Actually, he was Scottish, and he worked in London as a banker and visited Seoul to travel around Seoul, including Olympic Games. And I remember that he played soccer very well. Yeah. So in 1988, during Summer Olympic Games, I visited Olympic Stadium and met many foreigners, and my idea and thought changed. When I selected public administration as a major in college, I thought that I want to be a public officer in South Korea. And I had to take an examination to be a high-ranking officer. But because of my age, I couldn't take it. In senior year, I could apply to that examination. But at that year, in 1988, after I met so many foreigners, and in my church, the ministry was focused on the college students. And they say that, let us preach the gospel to the college students to outside Korea. And quite many people tried to go outside, went abroad. At that time, it was not easy. We were not rich enough to even make. We don't know about passport, visa kind of thing. But there was a kind of boom in the church. Let's go to the world. Let's go to preach the gospel. And actually, I didn't know about the preaching the gospel. But anyway, including my friends and my senior students, they decided to go abroad. And also, I decided to go abroad. After I finished the army service, I decided to go abroad, not knowing what to do, actually. I was young at the time. If present me were there to decide, I would not go abroad. I would I would not decided to go abroad. But anyway, I decided to go abroad and began to study English very hard. And after finishing the army service, I was introduced to the first wife, Maria, and she decided to go to Russia. So I began to study Russian. And I can speak Russian quite well even now, though I didn't use it for such a long time, about more than 20 years. But anyway, I can speak. So, life, I think, if you plan something, but your life is quite different from your plan. But sometimes to some people, when they plan, they go as their plans. But in my case, I planned, but my plan was not quite fulfilled in my life. I planned to be a public officer, government officer, when I entered the university. But after I knew Jesus, my path of life changed, and I changed my future. And I went abroad. And when I went to Russia, I thought that, oh, I will live in Russia for entire in my life. But Maria got a cancer, stomach cancer, and 3 years after living 3 years in Russia, she had to come back, and I came back together. So it was not my plan to return to Korea. I firmly decided to live in Russia entire my life. And those friends with me currently lives, some of them live there. I met several people here in Seoul. They live there, and their children born there were born there, born in Moscow. They live together with their children currently after 20 years. But life is not what I planned. And I learned that if you are flexible in your life, then you can overcome such things, difficulties. When you face difficulties, if you stick to your own previous plan, past plan, then it is very hard to overcome such barriers, such difficulties in your life. Don't stick to your past. Focus on your present time. And then decide based upon your current situation and from your heart. Not follow from other people's voices or books or media's information, but when you decide something, go to the remote area, solitary place, very, very quiet place. Just sit down. Or you can take a walk but where there is no person outside. There, you just calm down, keep quiet. Don't even think. Try not to think. And about 1 hour or so, you just sit down or take a work. You will abruptly or suddenly understand something about your future. Then decide, follow that direction, follow that guidance. From your deep, deep heart, God says something to you. And you can find it and hear it when you are in a very, very quiet place. I think that I chose the way, even though I do not know about my future, I boldly chose to go to Russia when there was a turmoil in Russia in 1992, 1991 and 2. And reluctantly, I had to come back to Korea because of the cancer of my wife. And she returned to her father's bosom in 1997. Okay, I want to talk about the Bible verse. John chapter 1, verse 3. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Through him here, through Jesus, through the Word, through Jesus, all things were made. Things in this world was not appeared automatically, was not appeared from nothing. All these things appeared by making, by creating, through creating or through making by God, by the Word. So God created all things through Word. So without him, nothing was made that has been made. What does it mean? Including you, including me, all human race, and all animals and plants, all things on earth, all universe was made. And if they were made, there was a maker. You know, you use your smartphone. You do not say the smartphone I use come from nothing. Smartphone that I use was built for 1 million or 100 million years. No, nobody says like that. It was made by Samsung, the company workers. The earth was made by God. All living beings also were made by God. Don't remember, there is an owner and master of the universe. Our life, he gave us. My body, my body is like a garment, like a cloth. Someday we will put it off. We will return to the eternal world. So all things, there is an owner. Our life, including our life. So the world says that whole things were made through Big Bang and evolution, but I'm not sure. I try to understand those theories, but it is also a theory and hypothesis. It is impossible to prove it and repeat it or experiment. Just needs faith. And I chose to believe in creation, God's creation. When I use chopstick, it is a very simple thing, but it was made. So human being is quite complicated being. People say that you cannot make human being, so you were automatically appeared. No. The higher dimensional being, I call God, created the lower dimensional being, human being. So the God is much, much, much higher than humans. Many people do not admit it and don't want to admit it, but I admit it. I do not blame those people, but that is their choices. But I hope that my children, you, choose that all things were made by God. In my personal experience, I knew God. I felt Him. Several times I really understood that there is God. Okay, so this is third episode about my life, and I will continue to record the things. Okay, see you next time. Bye.